KTPS.
To our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hippo
Scary Dog!
Blurson at Blurnsville!
Futurama!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is TV Party Tonight, and I am your host, Jesse Starcher. And joining me this evening, Alexis Hana is joining me here this evening. Alexis, all right, how you doing?
Hey, happy to be here for multiple things.
So, all right, you got to talk about, number one, why we're doing this show in the first place. It was kind of your idea, so go ahead and throw that out there to the listeners and let them know what exactly was on the table.
Well, for those of you who are not avid listeners of our shows, Jesse harkens from Ohio and I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and we had our respective football teams facing off. So I called up Jesse and I said, you want to have a little fun side bet for the game? And we agreed whoever's team won would get to pick a podcast and the other would have to do it, no questions asked. And then Patrick Mahomes, my boy, he synced it for the Chiefs.
So, okay. Number one, all right, the Cleveland Browns made it to the playoffs, and you could go and look at the stats. There's stats upon stats out there of how long it's been since we have enjoyed just a playoff berth and a playoff win. This season, the season of COVID, it has been insane for Cleveland Browns fans. But I knew going into it that really the Cleveland Browns did not make a statement this year. Suffice to say, we were there's two teams that we beat that had winning records, not counting the Pittsburgh Steelers. That would be number 3. And really, we beat them when they sat everybody on the bench before the playoff game. And then when the playoff game happened and we beat the Steelers in the playoffs at Pittsburgh, it doesn't get any sweeter than that. I call the season right there. I don't care. I know we're going to face the Kansas City Chiefs after that. And I was like, look, I'm perfectly fine where we're at. Just go ahead and throw in the towel. But no. We got to go see if we can make the Super Bowl, because if there's anything that Cleveland Browns fans have heard over and over and over and over and over, it's the fact that we've never, ever made it to the Super Bowl. And it hurts. It does. It hurts a lot. But I knew going into this playoff series that there was no way we should have been there. I don't know how we made it in, but honestly, guys, you look at our season. We beat 3 teams, like I said, that had winning records, and 2 of them may have been legit. That was Tennessee and Indianapolis. Both of those teams lost in their first round. We won our first round, and then of course we faced the Kansas City Chiefs, which I knew that the Kansas City Chiefs are a legit team, but we still made it a game. And there are plenty of people out there that could be talking about a helmet-to-helmet hit that wasn't called when we came close to a touchdown, that thing could have went the other way. But hey, I'm stepping back. I lost. I'm a man of my word. What did you say? What was the thing that you wanted me to do, participate in here? What was that? What was it that I had to do if I lost?
I had suggested that if Kansas City won, which we did, then Jesse and I would do a TV party tonight. Well, originally we were debating if we were going to do a first reaction commentary similar to what we used to do with movies. Those our longtime listeners will remember that we did a riff track style commentary for Jaws 3.
Yeah, that's right.
I still remember you screaming, "What the shit!" with the giant shark puppet.
Probably would have got a lot of that. If we would have done that with these, you probably would have got a lot of that. Me yelling at the screen.
But in the end, we decided to just sort of do a recap, and we're going to discuss a web series called Helluva Boss. This is an adult animated musical comedy web series created, directed, written, and produced by Vivian Medrano, otherwise known as Vivzy Pop. She has been putting out stuff for not too long, couple of years, and her fan base is crazy huge. I am among them. I love her animation. I love her stuff. I am a diehard fan of Helluva Boss and Has Been Hotel. Can't wait for that actually to come out. with its full season. And I was so excited that we were going to get to talk about this tonight.
Well, I can tell you that I never heard of this person, never heard of the show that we were getting ready to do. So I had no idea what I was getting into. I started it yesterday. I got on the treadmill, walked a little bit, and watched Helluva Boss, probably like the first 2 or 3 episodes. So I didn't know what I was going to experience. So I did a little bit of research after watching the series just to kind of familiarize myself with Vivian and what she's done in the past. So IMDb has her credited for doing, it looks like starting in animation in 2009. So looking at animation department, she's got 17 credits. Earliest thing is a short called Still Waiting. And as a director, I think she had one earlier. Well, I don't know about earlier, but they have it listed at 2009 called Why I Hate Phones. So she's been at least honing her craft for more than 10 years. Mm-hmm. You can really tell. I just go ahead and put that right out there. And I know we're going to talk about more of this as we go through the series, but you can see that this animation is definitely something that, I mean, it's better than YouTube level, that's for sure. This is something that, to me, feels like it is something that would belong on a network. You're the animation guru, so I'm leaving all that up to you as we go through it, and I'll just kind of, I can't say that I criticize animation as well as you do. I know that for sure. But just from what I saw, I was really impressed. So, like I said, we're more than 10 years out from her first bit of work that she's done. One of the things that set her on the map was Has Been Hotel. Dropped October 28, 2019, and as of right now, has over 54 million views on YouTube. And has also been picked up by A24, which I know that's the independent, well, I'll say independent, but they're the studio that does a bunch of horror related stuff, right?
Yes. Using the term independent is a little weird with the term A24, but they do often look to smaller projects.
Okay.
They're known for picking up smaller end, lesser known filmmakers and such. They tend to kind of stay away from more of the big budget stuff. And yeah, they announced this past August that Has Been Hotel had been picked up for a series. They have not announced any other details since then. I'm assuming that they're still in pre-production hell. Obviously, with COVID, everything has been pushed back.
Yeah.
Going to have to wait and see whenever they announce that stuff. But since then, we have gotten 3 new episodes of Helluva Boss, which she has released onto her YouTube channel. And you said you've got the viewer listings there. And one of them just came out as we're recording this 3 or 4 days ago. How many views has it already gotten?
7.4 million views, according to YouTube right now. And it's released January 31st. So it's caught on.
Yeah, 7.5 million views in 3 days, folks.
Yeah. People are paying attention to it, for sure. Has Been Hotel. So how did you find that, by the way? I mean, was it just... I know you frequent YouTube a lot. You mentioned a lot of YouTubers, so I know that you at least have your little pocket of your YouTube universe that you pay attention to. How did you come across Has Been Hotel?
It's kind of funny, actually. Her work came up to me. I had seen Has Been Hotel advertised on YouTube a couple times, but I hadn't clicked on it. What caught my attention was a Facebook comment on a Comic-Con board where someone had mentioned that they wanted to cosplay as a character from Has Been Hotel. And I noticed that the comments on that went crazy with just over 100 people talking about which characters they would want to cosplay as. And I'm like, okay, apparently this is kind of a big thing. So, as a Comic-Con vendor, I try to keep aware of what's really popular with the Comic-Con attendees. So I did a quick search. I'm like, okay, Has Been Hotel. Let's check this out. And yeah, boom, I was hooked. And I'm going to say, I do think Helluva Boss is funnier, but Has Been Hotel it just feels like it's made for a full TV series. And I'm really happy it got picked up. There is so much potential with this.
Vivian also has, or Vivzy Pop, which I'm surprised. I bet you anything I've seen this because number one, my 7-year-old loves Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, just about any kid you could probably talk to, ask them if they know about Five Nights at Freddy's, and if they have had access to YouTube, they've probably seen a bunch of stuff. But anyway, she did an animated version of the Song Biscuits, which is a Rhett and Link vehicle, Good Mythical Morning. And she did the animation to the Five Nights at Freddy's song that they did, which has got about close to 7 million views. So that, I'm surprised. Most likely, I've probably seen her animation, but just obviously not paying attention to who she was or who did it. Helluva Boss, 30 million, on the verge of 31 million views right now. It dropped shortly after Has Been Hotel dropped. Has Been Hotel dropped October 28th, 2019. Helluva Boss, the pilot, drops November 25th, 2019. Some of the acts that another act that she's associated with, I'm just bringing this up because I recognize the name. You ever heard of Perry Grip?
Sounds familiar.
Okay. So Mark Radulich, a year or so ago, no, it hadn't been a couple years ago, shares a song. I think he shared it in the chat. Maybe he just shared it with me. But him and his daughter, I think, were listening to a cat flushing a toilet over and over and over. And I was like, what in the world? So I click on this guy, find him on Spotify. Okay, Perry Grip has this, somebody put together this huge playlist of stuff. Now, I'm going to mention a couple songs here that you may have heard if you've watched anybody do Roblox plays or live Let's Plays, possibly. Granted, I know that that might not be your thing, but trust me, it happens all the time in my house because I got kids. But there's a song called Raining Tacos.
Okay.
It's raining tacos. Okay, so that's him. And there's nom 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 nom. All right, so there you go. So that's Perry Grip for you. He has a huge playlist. All his songs are like really absurd. They're really short, and I listen to this playlist all the time with the kids in the car. So I think he's contributed to one of the songs. I don't know if it was through Helluva Boss or if it was in some other work that she did, but either way. So I guess let's get into it. I mean, you got anything else you want to say before we jump into the pilot here and I'll do my synopsis and we'll talk about what we picked out from the episode?
I will say it's kind of funny because as much as I love Helluva Boss, as much as I love Has Been Hotel, my favorite animated short that Vivzy Pop has done, I don't know if you watch this one or not, it's called Holidays. It's like a 5-minute short film. It's this really cute bit about, essentially, it's like the spirit of Halloween meeting up with the spirit of Christmas.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It is interesting because it's not very, it's like, this is my territory, need it off. They actually end up kind of really bonding with one another. And it is so adorable. And again, the animation's great. There's no dialogue. It's just all music and animation. And I watch it all the time and I absolutely love it. It's so sweet.
That's awesome. As we go through the pilot here, we'll kind of talk about the characters too, the main characters that we've got listed here that we'll see throughout most of the episodes. So in the pilot, we pretty much learn about the imps, the immediate murder professionals.
When you want somebody gone and you don't want to wait too long, call the immediate murder professionals. Hand grenades or cyanide will make it look like suicide. The immediate murder professionals. We do our job so well because we come straight up from hell. We'll kill your husband or your wife. We'll even let you keep the knife. We're the immediate murder professionals. Kids die for free.
Their business as demonic hitmen. They are demons who will assassinate somebody if you pay them enough. And in this first episode, they're contracted to kill a target. But you find out that they mistakenly shoot a child instead. Now, that leads to a little bit of strife among the group when they go and try and get the kid revived, which ends up happening. Then they find out later that the kid was actually the intended target. So they kill him again, rather brutally. That's pretty much the episode. A lot of what we get establishes who these characters are, what the situation is in this first episode. So let's talk about Blitz. Now, if you look at his name, it's Blitzo, but the O is silent. So he's the boss of the imps. What do you think of Blitz here?
First of all, let's make it clear, if you didn't pick up some of what we were saying earlier, Helluva Boss is not for all ages. This is an adult animated series, and they have gone out of their way to include warnings in front of all of their shorts, essentially saying this is 18 and older, do not sue us.
I'll read it here. It says, warning, the following cartoon contains graphic violence, flashing lights, naughty language, horny humans, horny demons, and is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
much. I think that sums it up pretty well. No, I love the character Blitz. We find out more and more that apparently he did used to go by Blitzo, and he's kind of reinvented himself. He is pretty much seen as, even though this is an ensemble cast, I think we're learning the most about him through the episodes and the kind of stuff that he used to be involved in. It's very interesting. I love just how full of himself he is. I mean, this character is pure ego, and it is hilarious.
Oh yeah. He's kind of like a demonic businessman. I mean, really, when you look at it, he's got it. One of the things that they play in this first episode is the advertisement that they had come up with for the imps, and just to try and generate business. But yeah, he is full of himself. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean,
I love the line. It's like, okay, now where were we? Oh, we were talking about my outfit. Nobody was talking about your outfit, Blitz. That's why I'm trying to get it started. So what do you think? He's voiced by Brendan Rogers, who is hilarious. You really could tell the voice actors are having a lot of fun doing this. And I think one of the things that also drew me in was that even though this is a relatively independent project, VisiPop prides herself that she has funded, and I mean, they've got the store for their stuff, and they're able to sell through advertising and whatnot, but they're keeping this mostly independent. But the voice acting they have gotten for the series is really, really good. A couple later episodes, we're going to say they have actually gotten some A-list Broadway stars to do some voice acting.
That's right. Another thing about Blitz is, even though he's full of himself, one of the things that you can kind of tell is that he's a bit lonely. I think we get our introduction to Luna, which is his adopted hellhound daughter, and she's a goth and just a shitheel of a person to be around, probably an obnoxious coworker. But there's also, throughout this pilot episode, there's a few scenes where you see Millie and Moxie talking about how he just interjects himself into their personal lives all the time. Like, he, no matter what, I remember, I think it's in this one where there's the scene with the butter where Millie and Moxie are cooking dinner, and she opens up the fridge, and there is Blitz. Sitting there with the butter in his hand, and he's like, spoilers, butter spoiled. But he just...
the whole thing, especially with Moxie, who is voiced by Richard Horowitz. Animation fans will know the name. He was the voice of Daggett from Angry Beavers, Billy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and he was the title character from Invader Zim. You know, he's a video game enthusiast will recognize him as the leader from Destroy All Humans. He's a really successful, very talented voice actor. But here, I've mostly known him from kids' cartoons. So hearing him suddenly scream out, "Are you fucking filming us now?" I die. I die a lot. I'm like, oh my God, I just heard Zim curse. The animation people on this have thrown in so many little, I don't want to call them Easter eggs, but I will call them hints to the characters in the background. The entire of Helluva Boss pilot takes place. It takes place in the boardroom meeting, with the exception of the flashbacks and cutaway gags, of course. And when you look around, you can see posters on the wall, including one of Blitz, and I think it's supposed to be his sister. And it looks like they're former performers. So you look at that and you go, I mean, then you have one where I swear to God, it looks like Moxie's got a gold record or something.
I remember seeing that. Yep.
Yeah. So you look at that and you go, wait a minute, is that going to be explored? I mean, it's like, what the, and it really is engaging. It's enough of a tease that you really want to learn more about these characters and find out how the hell did things like that happen without it being, just too aloof or too estranged. And I love that. To
accentuate your point, I saw the poster that you're talking about with Blitz, where you could see was a performer in some capacity, and there's after reading some of the stuff that I saw online, it doesn't sound like that ended well. But he still keeps that stuff around, and his new job to remind him of who he used to be. There's so much meat there that isn't being used in the story yet. Will it be? You don't know. I mean, you just don't.
But it also works well, I think, for both, not only his character, but his interactions with other characters, especially when you see him interacting in the second and third episode with characters like Fizzarelli, something like that, and Verostica.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, whoever came up with these names, you're awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, just the name Verosica. I was like, that's freaking genius.
That's unique. Very unique. So Moxie, my notes on Moxie here. I mean, he seems to he's a demon. Okay. Remember, all these characters are demons, hellhounds, whatever. Moxie's a demon. Seems to have a decent head on his shoulders for a demon. He's just trying to make a living. Loves his wife, who he works with, Millie, and that's not easy. By the way, I've worked with my wife, and that's not. No.
I've worked with my husband. I totally understand.
It can get stressful. But Millie and Moxie make the best go of it here, especially in this stressful job that they have. But yeah, he loves his wife. He's not the best demon, I would say, when it comes to enjoying the killing. It's so funny because I'm watching this show, all right, and it definitely takes me, I don't want to say out of my comfort zone, but this isn't stuff that I usually watch. And the thing that I had to keep reminding myself is that, okay, remember, we're in hell. These are demons. This is why they're acting like that. Moxie was kind of like an exception to the rule for me. Like, he's the one that seemed the most grounded in the series. And granted, he has his moments, but he feels like the one person that I identify with the most. Well, I don't want to have to kill that whole family. I understand that.
Yeah, we see him cooking dinner. He writes a love song for his wife, which they did fully animate and released on Valentine's Day last year. I remember sharing it because my husband Andre and I were not big on celebrating Valentine's Day because when we first started dating, our date anniversary was late January.
Okay.
So we were just basically, we just had our date anniversary. Why are we going to celebrate? It's like, what's the point of celebrating Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
So we've never really celebrated it, but I remember sharing the music video. It's like, I don't really celebrate this holiday, but I felt I have to share this because it is it's a hilarious song. It's like, it's so sweet, but he's also singing about the fact that his wife is an assassin and she's a kick-ass assassin.
Yep. One point in the pilot, he's the one I think that pulls the trigger and accidentally kills the kid that they didn't realize was actually the intended target, and he's really worried. And I think it's not shown on the cartoon, but I have a feeling that he's probably the one that said, "Oh man, we got to get this kid to the doctor. I made a mistake." You can see just like the worry on his face. And the other thing that he gets a little respect. He doesn't get very much respect, especially from Blitz, but also later on in like a couple of the episodes, specifically Spring Broken, where he's told to go in and have a discussion with one of the succubi. Well, actually, all the succubi. Yeah. And he ends up, he walks in there and he gets a little respect. So I feel sorry for the guy, but I identify as well. But that's my notes on Moxie there.
It is very bizarre to have someone like Richard Horowitz voicing what is essentially the straight man of the group.
Yeah.
But it works. And I never would have picked in a million years for that to line up, but it works.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to Millie here. I don't really have much for her character-wise. I mean, just to kind of describe her, I mean, she's the girl demon with a southern drawl, and I think that gets a little bit more pronounced as the episodes go on. Yeah,
in the pilot episode, both Millie and Luna are voiced by Erica Lindbeck, another very prolific voice actor. She's mostly what I have known her for is doing dubs for Funimation, a lot of Dragon Ball Z and other films like that.
Okay.
Again, really great voice actor. But once they started actually doing the different episodes, they brought in Vivian Nixon, and it's clear that they did it mostly so Luna and Millie would have much more individual voices, and Vivian brought in a very strong Southern accent for her character. Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of people saying they didn't really like it at first, but at the same time going, well, at least now you can tell the difference between her and Luna. Yeah. So it works.
I agree. The other thing I would probably say about Millie, I mean, is she supports her husband. One of the things that I'm actually looking at a comment right here. Is this the pilot I'm looking at? No, this is actually from episode 3, but I agree with it 100%. Somebody wrote, "Please keep Millie and Moxie love safe," and that got about 13,000 likes. And I gotta agree. Again, Jesse, this is a show about demons in hell. Just about anything can go, especially when, oh my goodness, there is some stuff that is said. If you, number one, as Alexis said, if you have an aversion to foul language, stay away from cartoons with foul language, stay away from the. You probably are not going to really enjoy this very much. But there's a lot of wholesome aspects that are intertwined with all this craziness that's going on. One of the things that really stands out to me that is wholesome in this series is Millie and Moxie's love for each other. So go ahead.
Vivi and Moxie are hashtag relationship goals.
Agreed.
No, I swear to God, if Vivzy Pop ever gets an idea to do an episode where those two fight or something, the fans are going to be outraged because they love seeing how dedicated Millie and Moxie are together. Especially since that is not very common, especially in a sitcom style series, which this is very much. Romantic couples like Millie and Moxie are often seen bickering and fighting, or just being snarky to one another behind each other's back. Having these two so in love, so dedicated to each other, and working really well together. I love it in the third episode when Millie finds out that she and Moxie are going to have to go ahead because Blitz has gotten distracted. And she's like, yeah, Team M&M, making the money. It's just, they're so dedicated to each other.
Yep.
And it's not seen very often, and it's really great.
Yeah, you're right. So moving on to Luna. Now, my impression of Luna in the pilot episode, adopted hellhound daughter, Blitz's adopted hellhound daughter. She's like the annoying, obnoxious young co-worker that barely has any motivation to actually do their job and very full of themselves. I didn't like the character at all from the pilot. All right, let me go ahead and say that right now. That's at my impression and at the pilot episode. That's kind of all I had. She didn't really have a whole lot to do other than just complain in the pilot episode. I can't remember what else she did, if she contributed in any way, other than just sitting there griping about the fact she has a hangover and eating the other employees' lunches.
She hates she hates pretty much everyone. She shows very little respect for Blitz. She shows no respect to Moxie whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
This makes me laugh the hardest though, because Luna probably has the biggest fan following of all the characters, and you know why. Let me put it this way. Skipping ahead a little bit, in the third episode, we find out that the demons and the hellhounds have to have human disguises when they go up.
That's right.
And we find out that Luna's the only one in the IMP who has a human disguise.
They're in the business of going to Earth. And all this time, she's the only one that she's like, you guys don't have human costumes at all? You guys don't have human disguises?
Like,
she's the only one.
For how long? And you haven't been wearing disguises?
Yeah. So yes, so she goes up onto Earth. She definitely, she doesn't look like a hellhound after she puts her disguise on.
Majority of the fans' reaction were, wait, why do I prefer to see Luna as a hellhound rather than a human? Oh God, I'm a furry, aren't I?
Oh boy, this episode's making a lot of people realize stuff they didn't know.
Not gonna lie, actually, I want to cosplay as Luna. I really do. They make harnesses that are cut with straps that go into a pentagram, an upside down into a pentagram like that. I've actually found several makers of those online because I've been trying to find one that would work into putting it with a gray top.
Nice.
So that can be done.
All right. Well, so yeah, coming out of the pilot, I was like, okay, if this is the attitude Luna's going to have for the rest of the series, she's just going to annoy me. But luckily, as we progress, that is not the case.
I think one of my favorite things actually about Luna is that even though she is not a dog, she functions as a human. The way Blitz treats her is like she's a puppy.
Yeah,
the way he hugs her. It's like she didn't do anything wrong, and he's hugging her. And I was like, that's the kind of thing I do with Eddie, my corgi. It's like, the way he treats her is not as a daughter. It's like she's a puppy.
Right. When we get to episode 3, that turns into a full-blown father-daughter relationship in my eyes. But so tell me about Stolas. We got to talk about Stolas. He has a little bit of an appearance in the pilot, I believe, here.
Yes, he does. So imps are really not allowed to go up to the land of the living. Not the way they usually do. So we find out that Blitz has stolen I guess it's a spell book That would be the easiest way to call
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that's the way I do it pretty much.
This is actually interesting. He's a character. The character is called Stolas, and he is presented as kind of just a very rich and powerful demon of hell. But if you do a little background readings, Stolas is actually, well, this is going to sound weird, he's an established demon who has shown up in literature throughout the years. He is often seen as a teacher of astronomy and herbology, and he is often depicted as having kind of an owl face and very long legs, which they really got right in this. In fact, they mention in, I think it's the second episode, he said we're from the Goetia family, which again is you're supposed to think that that's like a powerful family line, but Goetial demons of hell again are established demons, established princes and lords of hell. And I remember catching that. I was like, that's a really clever little detail. Nicely done.
I will read what I pulled from villains.fandom.com on Stolas. Now this is their description of the actual demon, okay, not the one from the cartoon, but the parallels, you could draw them. Stolas, also known as the Owl Demon, is a demon originating from the discovery of witchcraft, the Book of Spirits, Pseudo-Monarchia Daemonum, okay, apologies for slowly trying to pronunciate those, the Lesser Key of Solomon.
You probably just, summoned another demon by like that.
Stop while I'm ahead. In the Dictionary Infernal, he is mainly described to be a human owl or raven with very long legs. So yeah, they got it right for sure. I mean, I had no idea that this was actually based off of something until later on when I was reading over a few things. Yeah, and Stolas has got a personality, that's for sure.
He does. He is married. He has a daughter. Yes. Thank you, Eddie. I know I was talking about you earlier. He is very much so attracted to Blitz.
Oh my goodness. Our first episode, it's what's in the pilot episode, Stolas is almost kind of like a throwaway gag where he's calling up Blitz and doing some indecent proposals, I guess, is the best way to say.
You basically get the idea from the pilot episode that Stolas knows that Blitz stole his book, and he's basically going, I'm not going to get you in trouble, but you're going to have to do some stuff for me. So Blitz is probably just going to be in Stolas's back pocket until, as long as he wants to keep his company in business.
Exactly. A couple notes from the pilot, and then we'll get into episode 1. The couple things that I had written down here, which I thought were I had to write them down because they were hilarious. I mean, much of the shows, you can watch them probably 2 or 3 times and just pick out different jokes that you may have even missed, because they do hit fast sometimes. The jokes will hit fast and you may actually miss them. And on the second watch, you're like, oh, that's what he said. Okay. But anyway, I think it's interesting that in the pilot, it takes the kid who they accidentally almost killed to wake up in their conference room, and then the kid dresses them all down, like just starts taking every single one of them and pointing out, what their fault is, what Moxie's fault is, what Blitz's fault is. He won't talk to Luna because he's a cat person. But
look that Luna gives him for that. It's like, talk to dogs. I'm a cat person, and she's just like, I will kill you, kid.
Oh, no kidding. He just kind of lays it all out there, and then in the middle of that conversation, Luna gets the text like, oh yeah, he's the target. And so they just, after he insults them, they get to have their revenge on him. The other thing that I thought was hilarious in that pilot episode was at the very end, when they were doing the news channel was talking about the missing child. The headline, as the mom is pleading for her son to be released or come back, was "Mom sucks at drawing own kid."
Because she's holding a picture that she's clearly drawn of her son, and it's a stick figure.
Yep, just a little stick figure with a hat on, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great joke. But yeah, that's really all I pulled out of there. I mean, there were some. If we're going to criticize the episode, if I was to criticize it, there were a couple of times where things were hard to follow for me. Specifically, when Blitz ran the ad for the imps, like he was showing the advertisement that they had paid for, but it led directly into the plot line of killing the kid or accidentally shooting the kid. And when I remember watching it the first time, I was like, okay, is that part of the commercial? Is that actually is that because seriously, that's what I originally thought. You might get a little upset about the amount of exposition that happens because you learn about every character, but I think that that's necessary. I mean, if I'm not saying you, Alexis, I'm saying people who are watching it may get a little upset with, just about how everything that's dumped on you to learn about every character. And that didn't bother me at all. But those are the only really couple criticisms that anybody might have, possibly.
I absolutely love the IMP theme song that they play for the commercial. When you want somebody gone and you don't want to wait too long, call the immediate murder professionals.
That's what. See, what's funny is he starts the song, and then the advertisement goes on a little bit further. The kid gets killed, and the theme song, the song that they write finishes. And I'm like, oh, so that is part of the commercial then. But then, of course, that's part of the plot. But yeah, there's some fun songs throughout the whole series. That's a good quick one.
I desperately want to get a T-shirt with the IMP logo on it.
Oh yes. I'm sure she's got to have some merch, right?
She does. We should add those who want to support Vivzy Pop and want to see more of these episodes. I don't do these kind of shout outs for the creators that often, but this show is so freaking awesome and the animation is so great. She has a store through, I think it's Shark Robot Shark, one of those
Shark Robot.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Where they sell T-shirts and plushies and pins. Both like regular pins and enamel. So I highly recommend checking out her store, because the more that we support through buying her merchandise and watching her show, and then the more money they're going to be able to make, and the sooner we're going to be able to get more episodes.
Absolutely. All right, well, episode 1, Murder Family.
Time of day and date. It's 9 in the morning on January 8th. The sun is out smiling, and it's your husband's birthday. La 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 la.
Oh, my stars! Stop singing, children.
After a teacher by the name of Mrs. Mayberry witnesses her husband via video chat, in the throes of passion with another woman by the name of Martha, she heads home to catch them in the act. Reaching her destination, Mrs. Mayberry attacks them both, gravely wounding Martha, killing her husband, and then herself. Recovering, Martha is shot to fame and fortune. Enraging Mrs. Mayberry, who is now in hell, who then calls upon the imps to kill Martha and her family. So that is, in a nutshell, Murder Family. My first note was to read the disclaimer, which we've already read, so don't have to worry about that. The second note is that we open things up with a really bright musical number. And I remember watching this the first time, I'm like, something bad is going to happen. Something really bad.
I figured it was either that or I had clicked on the wrong link. I remember watching this with Andre, and we're both just kind of looking at each other like, we opened the wrong one.
I was like, okay, this is episode, we sure here? And you could probably tell by the animation style that this looks pretty similar, but I'm not getting the same theme that I got from that first one. But yeah, I've got this real bright musical number opens everything up, and I'm just waiting for the next horrible shoe to drop, because something bad is going to happen, and it does. It happens in front of the kids too, which is just horrifying. These poor kids are standing around the computer watching everything go on as this teacher.
But it is hilarious, the fact that no one bothered to turn off the freaking webcam.
She left. Yeah, she left in a hurry. So Moxie's pretty reluctant to kill the whole family. I said that earlier, but yeah, in this case, I remember Blitz is like, look, we've got to go here. We're contracted to kill this lady and the whole family. And he's worried, like, I don't think I can do this. And that's kind of central throughout the whole episode as to whether he can kill the rest of the whole family. His struggle with that. And then, of course, Blitz, I think, outright lies to him that, no, we're just going to kill Martha, and the rest of the family's just going to be ruined. That's okay. So Moxie was not too thrilled. Anything you got to say about Moxie and his struggle here in this episode?
There's a little bit where Moxie's talking about which, would be, it's like, well, maybe like a shitty dad. And then he goes, or a mob family. That's understandable. And a Brando voice. And it just kind of killed me that they threw that in like that.
Let's go lick some ass is one of my quotes from Blitz that I really loved. The expression is let's go kick some ass. But he says, let's go lick some ass. Although I could see Blitz saying it either way. And then when he corrected, he goes, mine's better. I wasn't expecting the whole family to be psycho killers either.
Again, when you watch this a second time, you actually pick up a few more things in the background, including the fact that there's a lamp which is clearly made out of a human spine.
You read exactly what I wrote here.
Yes.
Because
and there's a decapitated child's head mounted on the wall. You don't notice that the first time you watch it.
No, I was sitting there. I remember going, I know things are going to turn. What is going on with this family? They can't just be straight up murdered, and that's the whole thing that's going to happen here. And then you see, just like what you're talking about, the background things. There's the lamp that's made out of a human spine, and then on the wall, I think it was the axes I saw first. There were two axes sitting on the wall, and I'm like, that's kind of strange. And then I look over and I see the lamp, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, what? And then everything clicks because you start, it leans into that pretty heavily because the whole family, including Martha, her husband, her two young children, are absolutely nuts. And I assume cannibals, because there is a dude that I think that's leg tied and dead and be ready to be served. I thought it was a turkey at first sitting in front of Moxie, and then they pull back, and of course you see it's a human body with their legs tied.
Yeah, Eli Roth would be proud.
It is a murder house, and then all of a sudden you don't feel too sorry about this family that's about to get killed. Most of the episode is them trying to figure out ways to kill everybody and avoid getting killed themselves, even though they are demons.
And then, of course, as they're running, Stolas has to call again.
How many? Okay, so the question I have wrote down here is, how many phones does Blitz have? Because legitimately, he gets a phone call in the pilot episode. Okay, well, that's fine. He that's where he like throws it in the blender after crushing it up and tells Luna to go shit it off the closest freeway bridge.
Yeah. And then this time he leaves it behind in the human world. And that's actually my favorite gag when Moxie's running back and Stolas is still talking.
Yes,
he hasn't realized that the phone's been dropped and he's been talking this whole time.
And to kind of play off that was one of my other notes that I had here. They don't shy away from the language in this show at all. But when Stolas is describing the lewd acts that he is going to engage with Blitz, it's censored. Yeah. So they're now
funnier that way, honestly.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, they're going for they're going for comedic effect, which is hilarious in my opinion too. There were, I should have wrote them down, but I could have swore I saw some people talking. The fan theories about this series, clearly off the chain. And one of the things that somebody had a theory on is why Stolas actually is considered censored. And I don't recall it happening in the series, but again, there's a lot of stuff that happens that you may miss. And the person mentioned that Stolas has some kind of an issue with, actually, no, I do remember. There's, in the next episode that we're going to get into, there is an incident where both, I think, oh my goodness, I can't remember. It's his daughter. I think his daughter and Blitz, they say a curse word and he yells out language. And then, so apparently, I don't know. I think they were driving it from that. But
that's actually an interesting fan theory. See, the one I was going for when you said how many phones does Blitz go through? Because every time he talks to Stolas, he ends up either losing the phone or destroying the phone. Mm-hmm. And then somebody said, how come Stolas doesn't appear in the third episode? And someone said, maybe Blitz hasn't gotten a new phone yet.
That's a good point. And it's worth pointing out there at the beginning when the client is arranging for the imps to go and take care of Martha. There is a little button that Blitz has under his desk. It's the emergency red button that you see that's, it's cliche buttons in case there's an emergency. But apparently, I don't know how many times you have to hit it, but on the outside, I'll read these to you, okay? And I know me and you, we already looked at this earlier today, but our listeners are definitely want to know what these are. So the emergencies for Blitz are as follows. There is, as the which button you hit, there's the more coffee, there's the soiled my pants emergency, there's the horny client emergency, there's the deranged client emergency, which I think that might have been the one that was going off.
Yeah, that was the one he was, that was Miss Mayberry. She was losing shit.
Yep.
Fun fact, by the way, I don't know if you saw the voice actors for this. Miss Mayberry is played by Mara Wilson, who was a former child actor who was in Mrs. Doubtfire and the remake of Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, okay. I know exactly who you're talking about. I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
She is a writer living in New York. I follow her actually on Twitter. She's really cool, and yeah, she did the voice acting for Mayberry.
Okay, all right. So we got deranged client. That's one of the emergencies, and we have this happens apparently in his office enough. Client giving birth emergency. Okay, happened enough to where they have to install that. And then there's a ghost. So apparently he's had problems with ghosts that he had to install a button for that one. And then, of course, there's Stolas. Stolas gets his own button, apparently, and he shows up, I assume, frequently to give the imps some problems, or at least Blitz problems, anyway.
Surprised the Stolas light wasn't burnt out.
Yeah. That's about it. All I have on the notes for that episode. The floor is yours.
Now, this one is really good. For the first episode after the pilot, I did really enjoy it. It's got some great humor. It is incredibly dark. I think this is actually probably the darkest of all the shorts that we've watched here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would absolutely agree. I mean, the teacher committing suicide, murder, and then suicide in front of the kids on TV, that's pretty dark. The police at the end, just killing the whole family after Moxie decided to let them live, that's pretty dark.
Little noted touch in the background that I don't know why I know why I caught this because I'm a nerd, but there's a scene where Moxie, he goes back to the family and he says, I'm not going to kill you. After they do kill Martha, he goes to Martha's husband and the two kids, who we have seen are just as, psycho as Martha is. And he says, I'm not going to kill you. Your children deserve a chance at life. I'm going to call your Earth authorities and arrest you. And he picks up what he thinks is the phone. And
it's got to be the phone. But it's not. It's sitting there in the phone charger, which is something my kids would do.
Yeah, it's a universal remote, a model for the kids, but it turns on the TV in the background. And what kills me is that's a short. What's playing in the background is a private snafu World War II propaganda short. Specifically, it's one where the devil comes up to Iran to see how the soldiers are dealing with the intense heat of transporting provisions and necessary equipment across the desert to those in need.
So this is something that existed and they threw it in there.
Yeah, I just remember watching. I'm like, I know that short. That's private.
Wow,
snafu.
That's crazy. I knew it had to be something because it looked like it was pulled out of somewhere, but of course I didn't look it up to see exactly what it was. But that's insane. That's funny. I can't believe, and it's just a real throwaway thing. I mean, that's it. And it's on there for 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's like I said, the devil shows up in Iran because he's been told that it's hotter in Iran than it is in hell. And he's just like, how can anything exist out here in this heat? And of course, we're watching Snafu and the U.S. Army working in those conditions. And it's just hilarious watching the devil taking off his shirt, and he's taking the salt tablets, the same as the army men are.
Wow.
Because he can't even deal with the heat in Iran.
That's funny.
I think it's pretty good. Again, this was a really good first episode. I remember when it first came out, a lot of people were complaining about the voice changes. The pilot episode, like we mentioned, Luna and Millie had the same voice actor. I think Blitz and Stolas had the same voice actor originally.
It is Brock Baker was nurse number one, some demon guy, it says, and then Stolas. So Stolas changed in episode 1, Murder Family, to Bryce oh my goodness, I had his name here, Bryce Pinkham.
Yeah, I think that's
So
it.
yeah, well, of course, the stuff with Stolas in the beginning, I wasn't really paying attention to his voice, so that didn't bother me at all. I could definitely tell the change with Millie. That's clear and obviously on purpose. But yeah, I didn't have any problem with that. I didn't see anything as far as big voice changes. I think Millie was the one that stuck out to me the most. But anything else?
Nope, I think we're good to move on to Lululand.
Oh, Lululand. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll do the synopsis. Then I'm going to turn it over to you to let you gush because I got a little bit of gushing to do myself about this episode. Episode 2, Lululand. This episode focuses on Stolas and his struggling relationship with his teenage daughter, Octavia, all set in an amusement park background called Lululand in hell. Being a reviled demon. Now, help me out here real quick as I'm going through this. I was trying to figure out, why did Stolas have the people trying to kill him? Was that established at all?
I think it's just because he's rich and powerful, and
okay.
I assume any celebrity in hell is there's going to be demons saying, "Hey, I want to, ransom this bastard off" or something.
Okay, yeah, and possibly remove him from his stature. Okay,
yeah.
I get that. That's kind of what I figured. I mean, that's as to why it's happening really doesn't matter. You just got to understand that there are demons trying to kill Stolas, and Stolas, in order to make sure that everything goes all right with his trip to Lululand, he hires Blitz and the Imps for bodyguard protection while visiting the park. Episode 2, Lululand. I turn it over to you. What's your thoughts?
This is definitely my favorite episode of the 3 that we've gotten so far. Not only is it really hilarious, we also get some world expansion with Lululand. From what I've seen in interviews with VivziePop, Lululand is not taking place in the same circle of hell that where the imps live. This is a different circle. I like to think that this circle is more for greed and stuff, especially when you see that the sign up front says it's Mammon, who is another demon prince of hell. I love the jokes about how they say it's Lululand, not associated with Lulu World, which is spelled differently so we can avoid copyright infringement, which again is so something that you would see in hell. I love and associated with greed. That's brilliant. Absolutely. Just has some of my favorite background jokes. Again, they put so much work in this. They're walking past the stalls and one of them just says funnel cakes and infinite sadness.
My favorite was them hopping on the ride called the lawsuit.
Yes. that's Millie's favorite ride.
Yep.
The animators and background artists must have had the time of their lives designing this theme park. And I freaking love Fizzarelli and his robot friends / fiends. Oh, God. Fun little story. For those of you, again, who don't listen to the show that often, my husband Andre is an immigrant from Romania. A couple of years ago, when Five Nights at Freddy's first hit its massive amount of popularity, I was watching a Let's Play of it, and he was struggling to understand what the deal was with the animatronics, because he had never seen things like that before. He had never gone to a Showbiz Pizza or a Chuck E. Cheese growing up. So I pulled out some old videos and photos I found online of Showbiz Pizza. And he just looked at me. It's like, and people paid to go see this? He's just
man.
What is wrong with kids in America that they want to see this crap?
It was the thing. I mean, I think I had to have been, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. West Virginia is right across the river. It's about a half-hour drive from my house. We had a Showbiz Pizza in a little plaza, and having your birthday there was probably the thing for this area.
Yep, Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese. Oh my God, the crazy amount of birthdays I spent at Chuck E. Cheese growing up with those crazy animatronics.
I played so many video games. I can remember playing, I can name off a bunch of them, but I clearly remember going in and playing Afterburner, sitting in. You sit
the ones where you actually sit down and it's got like the racetrack and everything, and you so it feels like you're sitting in the seat of the car.
Exactly. Yeah. It's basically the full cabinet, I think, is the word I'm looking for. But anyway, you sit in it and it does the rocking motion and everything. I'll never forget that experience. All happened at a Showbiz arcade. Played Punch Out for the first time. arcade at an arcade on while I was at Showbiz Pizza. It was I probably went there as a kid at least 5 or 6 times at the most, because that was a big thing. I mean, it was not, you had to go. Number one, usually it was during a birthday, just like you said, you had to have a birthday. And number two, it was, it was a half hour away. It was kind of tough for me to convince my parents to drive me all the way over there just to go in and play video games. Not going to go over very well usually.
Exactly. But yeah, so again, we're watching this guy. Andrea and I always watch the first episode, the premieres of Helluva Boss together.
Oh, yeah.
They go into Fizzarelli's show. I'm just looking at Andrea. I'm like, okay, apparently those things are creepy even in hell. Good to know.
Yeah, you're not. They definitely used the animatronic bandwagon. And yeah, trust me, if you fear them now, hell is not, it's not much more pleasant. That's for sure. And another thing that's not much more pleasant in hell, and that's carnival games. Those are crooked as heck on earth. So.
Oh, tell me I wasn't the only one getting Despicable Me flashbacks during that scene.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was so funny watching Moxie and Millie. Number one, I said I've worked in an arcade, so I've watched the guy that wanted to get all the tickets for the girlfriend and try to get the prize that was completely overpriced sitting behind the counter, because I was the guy that usually had to count the tickets up and get them. But this crooked carny sits there and just does not let Moxie have an inch. But as soon as Millie picks up the gun and fires it once and completely misses, boom, she's won. And I'm like, oh, it's just rough. It's rough for Moxie.
It was a little out of character to see Millie miss. I mean, she's a freaking trained assassin. I looked at him like, Millie, you of all demons should not have missed that shot.
Yeah.
But again, it is freaking hilarious. That was same voice actor as Moxie doing the voice of the carnival barker, I just love it. It's like, wow, you're making this so sad. Just that whiny voice. You just want to hate this guy even more, and I love that.
Oh yeah, he's rolling the dollar bills that Moxie gave him and smoking them.
It's like he's barely made enough to do that.
Yep.
And so, speaking of voice actors, Fizzarelli, the robotic performing Fizzarelli, who is a robot but acts the same as the other demons, is voiced by Alex Brightman, who Broadway aficionados will know, among other roles, launched the role of Beetlejuice in Beetlejuice the Musical.
Now, see, I didn't even know there was a musical until about 6 months to a year ago, when my daughter started playing the soundtrack. And she's big into listening to musicals through Spotify, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to listen to Hamilton.
I was about to ask that.
So she started playing the soundtrack to Beetlejuice the Musical, and I was like, I'm a lyrics guy, so I can pick up on lyrics usually, and they're singing, and I have no idea what I'm listening to at first until I start putting the context clues together. Like, is this a Beetlejuice? Where are these songs coming from? And then of course I'm immediately learned one by my daughter who says, oh yeah, there's this great musical out there. And yeah, so I saw what you're talking about there. This guy who apparently big on Broadway here with Beetlejuice is voicing Fizzarelli. Now, yeah, that's a big name.
Exactly. And Fizzarelli's, again, the minute the short came out, they're all, oh my God, the crazy amount of Fizzarelli fan. Every time an episode debuts, the fan art, the speed at which these artists can get the fan art out is mind-boggling.
Oh yeah.
It's like, awesome. Wow, you guys were just waiting with pen and paper, weren't you?
Let's talk about Stolas and Octavia.
When I'm gone, you'll be okay. And when creation goes to die, you can find me in the sky upon the lost day, and you will be okay.
it's weird because this is a very wholesome episode and easily the most emotional one. The episode starts in a flashback when Octavia was little. And she woke up from a really bad nightmare, and Stolas goes to comfort her, and she's talking about the nightmare, and he's trying to cheer her up, and he sings her this lullaby, while at the same time he's got his spell book. This is the book we see Blitz and the crew using later, and he uses it to create I don't know if it's an illusion or what exactly it is, but it's an image of a supernova, basically. And he's singing this incredibly beautiful song to Octavia. Again, if you Google or you search on YouTube, either Helluva Boss or Stolas, You Will Be Okay, because that's the name of the song. The covers. Oh my God, the amount of covers of this song.
Yeah.
There's, I'm not kidding. There's a YouTube video of the song that's just the song playing for 10 hours.
The old 10-hour YouTuber. Yeah, so for a show that is steeped in vulgarity, that is steeped in some gruesome imagery, this song and this scene with him and his daughter is just completely took me by surprise.
It hit really close to home for me, too. My mother, growing up, worked a morning radio shift. So by 3:30 in the morning, she was already up and out the door. A lot of times, if I had bad dreams, it was my dad who would come to comfort me if I was crying and to help me out. So, I mean, not that my mother obviously didn't care. She just wasn't there at the moment. She was at work.
Yeah, sure.
So seeing Stolas be there for his daughter, oh my God, it was so touching. And I was like, oh my God, it reminded me so much of when my dad would take care of me when I was little.
Yeah. As a father myself, that's the strong part of things that I identified with, was just taking this thing that is your whole world in your arms and trying to make them understand that everything will be fine, everything will be okay. And that's how we open the episode. And then when the song ends and Octavia wakes up, it's a quick scene change to where she goes from being, she's probably like 5 or 6 years old if you're compared her to human years or whatever, to a teenager. For her to, in a blink of an eye, change from a young child to a teenager, that's what it feels like sometimes for me. I see my kid in pictures at 6 years old, and you talk to any parent, you talk to anybody, that age starts to creep up on you, and you start to watch your kids get older, you always hear somebody say, "Where has the time gone?" And we look at this father and daughter who now she's a teenager, and things aren't okay. Things are not okay for her, which is the exact opposite of what that song was. There's a lot to be said about what is happening in just that couple moments, from the young kid who was just told that everything will be fine to the teenager who's watching her family fall apart.
No, it's a smash cut to her waking up as a teenager, to her parents fighting. Although it is, I don't want to say funny, but it's very interesting to hear her mother and what she's screaming. She's yelling at Stolas for
sleeping around.
Yeah, sleeping with Blitz. But if you listen to the stuff she's saying, it doesn't seem like she's so much mad at him for sleeping around. It's that he slept with an imp. And it seems so. It's pretty clear that imps are lower on the totem pole of demons of hell than they are.
It's a class issue.
Yeah, it's because she mentioned something. What was the line? It's like, I can't believe you slept with an imp in our bed. And he said it was a last minute thing. I couldn't get a motel. And what she said, something like, "Oh, what are you like a motel, like a plebeian or something?" So I think it's that she's just more disgraced that he would sleep under their class.
Oh, wow.
Than anything else. And that really just kind of dawns more light on the argument.
True. So most of the episode is him trying to reconcile, or at least get his daughter back to he wants to recapture those moments that he's had with his daughter. He wants to remind her, hey, things are still okay. Let's go to Lululand. Let's go to Lululand. It's your favorite amusement park. And of course, this kid, has her headphones in, listening to her iPod or whatever. And she's, whatever, Dad, let's go ahead and go. But clearly she's bothered as to what's going on around her. And most of the the bigger part of what I take away from this episode is him trying to reconcile not just with her, but with himself as to what's going on too.
It's hard because part of the thing that's really bothering her, not only that her parents are fighting, but while they're there at the park, someplace she clearly doesn't want to be because she feels that she's too old for it, Blitz and the crew are providing protection. And of course, Stolas will not stop flirting.
Oh, no.
And it's very uncomfortable for her. Just imagine, it's like, so many of us have had to deal with separated parents or parents going out and start dating and everything. But to see them flirting in front of you, it's like, this is a level of uncomfortable I don't need in my life. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. So she's depressed, she's miserable, she's in a place she doesn't want to be, and she is watching her father flirt in front of her, and she clearly feels like he doesn't care about her feelings.
I've definitely been the one to where I've had to deal with my mom dating somebody else that was not my dad and try to get used to that idea. And it's not easy. So I definitely see where Octavia is coming from here.
And again, especially since Stolas does not understand the concept of, holding back.
No, he doesn't.
And
my gosh.
It's like, it's so thrilling watching you work, Blitzy. Oh my God. It's like, just imagine your parents have split up and you're watching your father say something like that to someone else. It's like,
get me out of the room. Get me out of the room. I'm not coming back. No wonder. I would put my earbuds in my ears for probably the rest of the time that I would be living at home. It would be bad.
But this is actually another thing I noticed. I think it was like on the third time I've just full disclaimer, I've rewatched each of these shorts about like 10 times each.
Yeah.
Near the end, Stolas realizes that, he made a mistake, not only in bringing Octavia, but clearly in putting his needs ahead of hers. He picks her up and they're leaving. It's like a fun house that they're in. And another little imp bastard shows up behind to kidnap, stab, steal, I don't know which. And Stolas turns around and one look and the imp turns to stone. And you realize Stolas doesn't freaking need bodyguards. He is a very powerful demon. And you kind of get the idea that he did this. He basically called Blitz not because he really needed it, but he just wanted Blitz's company.
I don't think there's any question after coming out of episode 2 that Octavia is still and will always be Stolas's world.
Tell me that when Fizzaroli started his spin attack, all I could think was, wow, there's a video game end boss.
Sonic the Hedgehog immediately came to mind for some reason. I don't know why.
I will admit, from what I've heard, Fizzarelli will make another appearance despite getting eaten by a dragon.
That's right.
He's a robot. They're probably going to rebuild him. And I look forward to seeing him again. I want to see more of these characters, not just the main characters with IMP, and not just Stolas and Octavia. These other characters that are brought up, Miss Mayberry and Fizzarelli, and the next episode, Veronica and Vortex. I'm like, I want these characters to come back.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I've got a question for you here when we hit the end, and most likely we're going to lean back into what you just said. But yeah, let's go ahead. We'll talk about episode 3, which was Spring Broken. And this released shortly after the Browns lost to the Chiefs. And little did we know we were going to have another episode to talk about.
Spring Breakers, y'all ready to get fucked up and make some bitchin' bad choices? Fire!
This is your final boarding call. All aboard.
Real quick, summary is upset that a former lover, a succubus pop star by the name of Veronica, Mayday, took his parking space. Blitz makes a demon duel that his team of professionals can kill more people than Veronica's crew can screw during Earth's upcoming spring break. So yes, it all starts from Veronica taking Blitz's parking space. and we go from there. And of course, there's a big history between Blitz and Veronica. But yeah, we get into some serious hijinks here. What do you have to say about episode 3?
One of my favorite parts about episode 3, someone commented on there's at least 3 different Helluva Boss Has Been Hotel fan boards I frequent.
Okay.
I spend too much time on Facebook. It's part for my job. I have to stay up with current trends. So
That's right.
I'm not just a social media addict. Okay. I actually have a reason for being on social media.
Good.
But someone wrote on there, it's like, so this whole thing was started for a parking space? Isn't that insane? And I wrote in there, you've obviously never had to park in downtown New York or LA or Vegas or Chicago or Indianapolis. You clearly haven't driven anywhere.
Could you imagine? Okay. Listen, I come from a small town. All right. I lived probably about 30 miles outside of Columbus. All right. One of the biggest cities that I've probably ever lived near to. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm nowhere near New York City. I have been asked if I would ever want to travel to New York City. And honestly, the amount of people scares me. So I'd just rather not. But I drove for about 9 months back and forth to my job to Columbus. And one of the first things I want to complain about is traffic. Number 2, thank goodness the place I was working was within probably half a mile, if that, maybe a quarter mile from the interstate. So I drove the interstate, turned off, heart of downtown Columbus, but we had a gated parking lot that I could just pull in and boom, I got a parking space. Shortly after I left, they shut our building down and they said, oh yeah, parking is now going to be involved in a garage. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I'm back in Podunk, Ohio now, and I don't have to worry about that because parking spaces are just ridiculous when you're in downtown of a big city. Could you imagine what parking spaces are like in hell? Okay.
Probably pretty close to what I had to put up with in Indianapolis.
Ew.
No, this is going to sound weird, but again, I travel for a living. I'm a Comic-Con vendor. I have been to several major cities, and there are a lot where it's been a case of, okay, we're calling in Uber because parking is not going to be worth it.
Yes, it happened.
Yeah, there's a couple where it's been like when the last time my team worked New York, it was a case of we have to book the hotel that the convention is at because we are not going to be able to drive to the convention center. It's not going to happen. Even downtown Kansas City, unless you're prepared to pay for parking, good luck finding a parking space. You have no idea how many cities where I have ended up paying a small fortune because I got screwed out of a parking space. And it's like, well, I don't have a choice. I'm working at this convention center. I got a cheaper hotel, which is nowhere near the convention center. I need to pay for it. Hell, I remember working one where we got a hotel near the convention center so we could walk, but the hotel still charged us for parking. That's just how in demand the parking spaces were. So I was like, they're just like, isn't this insane? I'm like, no, it's not. I understand fully the desire to kill for a good parking spot.
This was a fun episode. I think the biggest thing that I took away from this was we get a lot more about Luna in here, and she becomes a character that I actually don't hate. She becomes somebody that, number one, she's useful to the team. She's useful for the imp. She's able to help them out.
Oh my God. Probably one of the best moments of the whole series, though. She asks if she can go up with them. And at the moment, I'm not sure if she wanted, okay, we see that she's got a thing for Veroska's hellhound, Vortex.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's probably probably asking if she can go up because she thinks she's going to see him again. Mm-hmm. And she goes, can I go up with you guys? And Blitz goes, absolutely not. Spring break is no place for goth girls. All those, those nightmare, those idiots will just drool over you mindlessly. And all four characters stare at the camera.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thank you, fourth wall break, shaming us for liking goth furries.
Yep. She obviously knew who Veronica was. Veronica being a pop star, I'm sure whatever social media hell has, which is probably Facebook. She follows her on there, and she was starstruck. when she saw Veronica, and that added at least a little bit of dimension to her personality. And I think just the part where, oh my goodness, I think it's towards the end of the episode where she's obviously infatuated with Vortex. She comes over and she's kind of talking to him, but you find out that she doesn't have any friends, which makes her very sympathetic in my eyes. Now all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, now I've got to care for this character. I didn't like her at first, but now you find out she's kind of friendless. She's a goth girl, and I think a lot of what she puts up is clearly an attitude. Nobody gets close to her, and she doesn't get close to anybody else. That's my theory. She goes about it in a very teenager way, in my opinion.
You're definitely right with Luna. There's a moment earlier in the show before they go to the human world where Luna's complaining that she thinks her makeup looks bad, and Blitz goes, "Oh, you look fine, Looney, like you always do." It's such a dad thing to say.
Oh yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, shut up, Dad. I mean, Blitz." And the look on Blitz's face that she almost said dad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And it's clear that even though he adopted her, she has never called him that, and she doesn't want to call him that.
You know, the word that probably describes it best for this episode, Luna, is vulnerable.
And again, we find out that the IMP crew have been going up this whole time without human disguises.
Yeah. Like, well, okay. Well, and what's funny is that in this episode, when Veronica throws her flask into the river and we get this huge demonic fish that ends up as a result of whatever this flask did to it.
I'm guessing hell-based liquor is radioactive mutagen.
I'll go with that. That's perfectly fine with me. But the whole reason that they win the bet, which, throughout the episode, you see the imps offing a bunch of spring breakers. Clearly, Veronica's got a plan on how to get the sexy things going there at spring break. But the one thing that breaks it at the end is the fact that Blitz is like, look, how about you give me the parking space and I won't tell Satan that you created a giant fish demon. So there's clearly an issue, things from hell popping up in the real world or the earth realm and being noticed.
There is a hierarchy involved here. Obviously, Stolas has been referred to. He's supposed to be a prince of hell. He's higher up. Since this takes place in the same world as Has Been Hotel, we have seen, not in person, but we have seen images of Lucifer and Lilith.
Okay.
So they do exist. And Lucifer is, king of hell. There's no question. Because his daughter is the princess of hell, and she's the main character of Has Been Hotel. So I would like an episode where we can maybe, again, this is one of the things I'm really hoping we see further with episodes, is more of a development of how hell works. I know that sounds boring as hell, but they talk about the different rings. We know that this version of hell has 7 rings, not 9. Mm-hmm. We know that the human souls that are damned to hell can only go to one ring. That's why there were no humans in the other ring with Lululand. We know that imps are not really allowed to go above to the human world, and Blitz and his team have been using that book very illegally, as Stolas mentioned in Murder Family. So I want to find out more about how this works, how hell works, and it's like, just, I don't know, I guess I just want to see an episode where Blitz finally just gets in trouble for screwing up as massively as he has, and we finally see what's the punishment for a freaking imp in hell for doing this.
So that whole mythology and that whole setup is something I'd love to be explored as well.
Oh, I was saying, I've always been very fascinated with that kind of stuff as well. I'm very much into Dante's Inferno. I actually did an art series of the 7 Deadly Sins years ago.
Oh, really?
I did 7 different digital paintings based on the different sins.
Cool. Oh, very cool.
I'm not a freaking Satanist or anything, but I've just always found this to be a very interesting setup for a story arc.
What do you think about Moxie getting drunk?
Oh my God, Moxie drunk was the cutest thing ever.
Oh, when he looks up at Millie and he goes, "You've got 4 faces and I want to kiss them all," or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's just, listen, I've been drunk. I'm a happy drunk. I would, again, that's another thing that I identify with Moxie with. I'd be all, just all over my wife, just trying to give her a kiss on the cheek. So.
Yeah, the new thing to post online was Moxie is not a possum. No, I love it. The scene where he gets taken by the giant mutated fish, and Millie, badass as she is, goes in to save him, and she's reaching for him, and he high fives her because he's too drunk to realize he needs to reach out for her.
Yeah.
I love it. You don't even see Millie's face, but the way her hand just kind of collapses there, you can feel the exasperation in her that she's going. She's like, "Oh, for crying out loud!"
Yeah, like, has to pull him up out of there. Like, oh, geez, this guy is totally drunk. I have a quote here. You tell me how true this is, okay? And I think this happens in this episode. So I think this is at the beginning when they're in the boardroom of episode 3. So Moxie and Blitz are kind of getting into it. There's a presentation that Blitz gives. And
those single graphite drawings.
He said, so Moxie says, "Why don't you take an art class?" And Blitz looks at him and says, "Why don't you see how expensive they are?"
Somebody was venting when they wrote that.
Absolutely. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's definitely somebody that's upset about something.
No kidding. Former, like I said, trained in graphic design. You don't want to know what my parents did when I told them for the first time I wanted to go to art school.
Oh, no.
Just that expression that a parent makes when they think for the first time that they have truly failed at raising their child.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I got that out of both of them when I said I wanted to be an artist.
That's a rough. I mean, I think a lot of it is as a parent, you want your kids to pick something that's stable, and art has a history of not being so. It's just so tough to find to do something that's I assume that's stable in that career that can, I guess I should say, provide for you. At least that's our biggest fear. I mean, look at me, okay? What's the safest thing you could pick, Jesse, when your parents are asking you, when the school's asking you, what do you want to major in? Business management. Safest thing ever. So that's what I decided to do. Not only was it just business management, it was general business management. You couldn't get any more vague than that right there. General business management. Yeah, I had to go the safe route, or my parents probably wouldn't have said, okay, you can go to college.
I went to college first in broadcast and visual journalism. I went back to get my second degree in graphic design. And frankly, my parents were not crazy about me studying art until I found my niche market with the Comic-Con circuit. And I still remember my dad actually just suddenly becoming relieved. He's like, "Oh, she actually found a niche.
Found it.
She found a demographic." Because that's the thing about being an artist. You can be an artist all you want, but if you don't have people who are willing to pay for your stuff, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So that's his thing. He's like, "You want to be an artist? Fine. It's like, you can be an artist when people pay for it."
Well, I think I have said everything I need to say about episode 3. Anything else that you would like to say before we wrap things up?
I loved Veroska as the character. I enjoyed the introduction of the succubi and the incubi. I think it was kind of interesting that it's not just the imps and it's not just the higher demons like Stolas. Again, we're seeing more of what makes hell work in this, and I really am enjoying that. I loved Vortex as a character. Again, would have made him so one-dimensional, but they really worked. And he is voiced by James Monroe Eaglehart. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. Again, big Broadway actor. He originated the genie on Broadway's Aladdin.
So she obviously is able to pull in these people. And granted, COVID's a thing right now. People are looking for work, but she's landing some pretty big names, which is great. I'm really excited to see what she brings in later on down the road. What would you like going forward? You already mentioned a couple things, but we're only 4 episodes in, counting our pilot and 3 episodes. What do you want to see going forward with Helluva Boss?
Again, I want to see them expand on Hell a little bit more. I'd like to see more of how this society works. I want to see, I am loving these other characters they're bringing in. Not that I want to see Vortex and Fizzarelli and Verosica and all of them come back, but I do want to see them also bringing in more new characters. So far, all the new characters they've brought in on the side have been enjoyable and well developed, which is not something you usually get for what could be seen as a one-time only cameo appearance.
Yeah. So
I'm loving it. I'm sitting here going, okay, everything you guys have done so far is good. Keep doing that.
would you like to see more like solid arcs going through the episodes or continuous misadventures, kind of like what we've been getting? I mean, really, when you look at the series as a whole right now, with the 4 episodes, there's 2 main things that really stick out to me. The relationship between Stolas and Blitz, that's continued throughout most of the episodes. Mm-hmm. And also the imps and their job, what they're doing. But I can't think of any other common threads throughout all 4 episodes, unless you've got something off the top of your head. But would you like to see solid arcs, or would you like to see just more misadventures and more of what we got?
At the moment, I think the misadventures works better, but I wouldn't mind seeing some arcs that are brought up, maybe even a couple of 2-parter episodes. But something like that could be enjoyable. Yeah,
I want more of what we got in part 2, or episode 2. I want more of that. If they can, I mean, I'm not saying that we need Octavia and Stolas the whole time. And what I'm saying is, like, they went in some territory that was uncommon if you compare it to the rest of the episodes. And if they can hone in on what specifically that was and put that much effort into some other stuff that shows up later on down the line, you've got a hit on your hands. You really, really do. I mean, there's people, if people are paying attention now, just wait if they were able to start utilizing what they did in episode 2 for more of the episodes upcoming, there are going to be just that much more people that are going to enjoy this series. And hey, 30 million views is nothing to sneeze at. But if you can get the word of mouth out, like, I had no idea about this series until you talked about it. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that because of episode 2, there are some people I know that I would tell, hey, you're going to enjoy this series. Check it out. Now, what really it feels like to me, the purpose of the series, in my opinion, and purpose of Helluva Boss is raunchy misadventures. That's pretty much what I get from it. At least that's what I think their goal is. Has she said anything else as to what she's planning on doing?
Yeah, in December 2019, Vizzy-Pop confirmed that season 1 is going to be 8 episodes long. She has not released any kind of release schedule, though. She keeps her fans pretty well informed on Twitter. I can't seem to find. Yeah, I think her Instagram is just her personal Instagram with pictures of her, and I think her cat or dog, one of her pets, because she doesn't have a like a professional Instagram, but her Twitter has been very good about releasing. It's like, so-and-so coming soon, or here's a hint of what's coming up, or something like that. Really, she's very good at teasing her fans. So we'll have to we're just kind of have to keep an eye out. And again, we're still waiting for news on Has Been Hotel, how that's going to get picked, since that's been picked up, what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, you know what stinks is the fact that if it does get picked up, I imagine her focus is going to be on trying to get that show off the ground, which is fine. That's fine. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I'd hate to see Helluva Boss take a backseat because she has to focus on what's going to probably be getting her more exposure. And that's exactly what she needs to do. But as myself coming off of this series, what we need to do, what's going to happen, even though this was a wager, we can bet on the Browns losing again sometime next season, and I'm sure it's going to happen. but I do want to cover the next, if there's going to be eight episodes, we'll do the next ones to finish this out. Sure. Just to talk about what happens.
I definitely agree. As much as I want to see Has Been Hotel and what they're going to do with it, I am really hoping that Vizzy-Pop is able to keep from going into what I affectionately call Stephen Moffat syndrome.
Doctor Who reference.
Yes, Doctor Who / Sherlock reference.
Okay.
Because it's been discussed with a lot of fans that when Moffat was giving all of his attention to Sherlock, Doctor Who suffered. And there is definitely, you could see it kind of a cause like one went up and one went down.
Yeah.
So, and I know that that's really hard. I'm a business owner and I know it's very hard to divide your attention between multiple projects. So all I can hope for is that Vizzy-Pop has got this blocked down and they're able to figure out how they're going to make this work, that she's able to work on both, because these are both great series. Well, one's a pilot and one's a full series right now, but It's all really enjoyable. And I am very much so hoping that that we're able to continue enjoying the same level with all of it. Like I said, I have been a fan of her since I first saw her stuff. I've kind of been spreading her stuff around as much as I can. A lot of times I'll be hanging out with my friends. I'm like, so do you watch Vivzy Pop? And then I'll show them the pilot for Helluva Boss. Well, I've mentioned this before. I'm on a film crew for a small independent film, and we were all just hanging out after doing a tech rehearsal. And we were just talking. I'm like, so has anyone watched Vivzy Pop? And I ended up showing the entire film crew the shorts on our break.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you find that, I was going to say, if you find that person you really like and they're putting out a great, great content, why not? Other people are going to enjoy it. So I agree. I came out of this. I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it. So that's other than what I've said before. I'll end my portion of things with that, and this will bring our discussion about Helluva Boss to a close, episodes pilot through episode 3. You got your plugs ready? You ready to rock and roll?
I am. For the record, when we review the later episodes, I thought maybe we could open up the floor for some of the other Radulich Broadcasting members. I know a couple of them are also fans of the series.
Yeah,
so maybe a few more voices next time.
I would love that. I would love it.
Yeah. And yes, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. We just uploaded a ton of brand new products online, a handful of new wire up dice. We have our new Mushroom Power Up Hair Barrette. We have our new Genshin Unlimited International. Wow, I don't even know the name of my own product.
I can post-edit this. Try it again.
It's fine. We have we have new Monopoly token charm bracelets with a handful of different colored beads. We are also pushing our new Scrabble tile ribbon choker collection. We have a bunch of these where they are they're going to be 2 necklaces paired together of some of our favorite geeky romantic couples. We have Vision and Scarlet Witch. We have Black Panther and Storm. We have Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. We have Gambit and Rogue. And you can buy just one of them, or you can get both of them at a discount. You can find our shops on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. As far as getting back on the road, well, we're not sure when that's going to happen, unfortunately. We had been planning on Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City in April. We just got the notice it's been pushed to August.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, guys, we don't know when it's going to be safe for people to be back in public places, so we're essentially playing by ear by now. Just go ahead and keep alert to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. We will be posting any and all updates as we get them on any shows if they announce what their plan is. And again, you can find our stuff on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
So just real quick, I wanted to tell you that my daughter definitely enjoyed all the gifts that I got her that you made. She loves the earrings. She loved the charm bracelet. And,
I think your daughter got the 3rd Journal Gravity Falls earrings and the Among Us charm bracelet, which was one of my favorites to
Oh,
decide.
yes. I knew dude, I'm telling you right now, dude. The Among Us around this house, I'll be walking past the boys' room, 11:30 at night, and all of a sudden I'll hear, oh, yellow is sus. And I'm like, for Pete's sake, you darn kids in your video games. But anyway, Kira loved the charm bracelet, and she got the TARDIS earrings as well.
I knew she ordered another pair, but I couldn't remember what.
Yeah, she loves the TARDIS earrings. So anyway, shout out to W2Mnet.com for hosting the podcast. Of course, the Radulich Broadcasting Network for letting us get on here. And I took over TV Party Tonight. I don't know if Mark even realizes that's what I'm doing tonight. So I can't wait to drop it on him. Hey, I'm dropping an episode of TV Party Tonight. And he'll be like, what?
Well, Mark, I was saying that this will air after Super Bowl Sunday, but Mark and I are currently waiting to see the results of our bet.
What's the wager? Have you guys figured that out yet?
Yes, we have. If the Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, then Mark and I will be doing a TV Party Tonight discussing all 5 seasons of Samurai Jack.
All right.
But yes, if the Chiefs don't win, then Mark and I will be doing a comic strip episode coming out where we will be discussing the graphic novel and film adaptation of Marry Me. The film, I'm not sure when the film is coming out, but it stars Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. To which I basically called up Mark. I'm like, you're going to make me review a rom-com? Are you mad?
That's a little different. That's off the beaten path.
I know I'm the only woman on this network, but I have managed to get away this whole time without reviewing rom-coms.
That's weird. All right. Well, hey, that's exciting stuff. It was funny because when we did our wager, I was like, okay, so do I pick something that was like horrible and she doesn't want to do it, or do I want to pick something that we would both enjoy and actually have a good podcast? So for the longest time, I was like, I got to find something she'd hate, and then I was like, no, okay, pick something that you both would probably enjoy because the content might be a little bit better instead of her bagging on it and you going, oh, this is great, because then it wouldn't hold up so well. Yeah. Check out the WTMnet.com YouTube page where at least is hosting the last, I think, close to 3 or 4 years of the Radulich and Broadcasting episodes that are on that they pick and chose from until we fully became a part of the network. Yeah, I do a comic book podcast whenever I'm not essential called Source Material. Right now, it is being picked up by Mark Radulich. Check out Source Material. We have a Facebook page. It's called the Source Material Comics Podcast. And you can follow me at Stiznarky on Twitter if you do so wish. I think that brings this fun time to an end. For Alexis Hana, I am Jesse Starcher. Be well, be safe, and behave. We'll
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Have a good one. Bye-bye.